Welcome to the podcast. Life ain't fair. Wait, anyway. You know what I mean. We're here to lift you up.
The moment that I went with my sister to the doctor to ring the bell, it was just little moments within everything that was going on that God gave me to let me know it was going to be okay.
It's so important that you have people speaking life to you when you can't speak life to yourself and when you can't even pray. I know I had those moments. I just couldn't even pray. All I could say was Jesus.
He said, when you help other women heal, you will heal. That is the means to what you want. I've given you everything you need already. Why do you keep asking me what you're supposed to do? Trust the process of what God is taking you through to know that there is a reason. Look for the answers in what you're going through. Look for the good.
Our circumstance. He is the healer. Yes. Regardless of whether we see it here on this side, it doesn't change. He's the God of miracles, signs, and wonders. And there's absolutely nothing that's too hard for him. So just because it's not manifesting in my life or yours doesn't change who he is.
See, what is this disruption telling you? What is God trying to reveal to you to get you to see or understand so that you're on the path that you should be?
Hello, everyone. And yes, life ain't fair, but we can win anyway. And we are definitely here to lift you up. My name is Tawana TJ Everhart, and it is my absolute pleasure to be the host of this podcast. Life ain't fair. Win anyway. Hey, if you've ever had a moment in your life when you said, God, really, this can't be my life, or if you ever said, I just cannot believe this is happening to me, or how many times you may have said, why me? This podcast is for you, because me and my guests will tell you we've had those moments, but at the same time, we can tell you that we sit on the other side of it. So I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things before we even get into the episode. I'm going to ask you to go and grab something, and you can go to my website, tjeverhart.com, and download the workbook and the journal, because it's not about just tickling your ears with our stories. We want you to reflect and gain something from what we've gone through and how we came on the other side, so that you can use those tools to be a tool of victory for you to help you to transform your life. So yeah, take a moment. If you need to stop for just a second, pause us and come right back. But I want you to grab something. So yes, life ain't fair. That's all right. But you can win anyway. So I am excited that I have my girl, Kristi Oliver with me. Not just my girl, my soror, my friend of Alpha. Y'all know I say it like that. Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which is how we met. Really, believe it or not, that's how we met. And we've been together ever since. So before Kristi comes on to tell you about the life ain't fair moments, and I said moments with the S because there have been more than one, more than two. It's been quite a few, but she's going to tell you about. We'll talk about it. So before we get into Kristi and before Kristi starts talking, let me just tell you a little bit about Kristi, everybody. So Kristi Dionne Oliver is a strategist, speaker, and faith-driven disruption guide who helps women rebuild their lives and leadership from what tried to break them. A research scientist by training and a breast cancer provider. And we'll talk about that. Provider by lived experience. Her story is one of divine redirection, restoration, and resilience. Kristi believes life isn't always fair. But when God keeps you, what could have taken you out becomes the very testimony that helps someone else survive and win. So everybody, please give it up for my guest, Kristi Dionne Oliver. Hey, Kristi.
Hi, TJ, my sister, my soror, my
Hey.
friend, my confidant, my biggest cheerleader, supporter. I mean, the list can go on.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love
I
you.
love you too. I love you too. Yeah.
And sis, you're listening because I know you're gonna be listening. We love you too, Val.
Yeah.
That
Sissy,
is
we're a package deal.
that is
We're a package
that's
deal.
absolutely true.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So Val is her older sister, but Kristi thinks that she's the older sister.
Absolutely.
It's not. But Val is big sissy to me too. So hello, Val. We love you. So Kristi, how are things going with you?
They're going well. They're going well, considering, like you said, everything that I've gone through over the last 4 years. It's been a whirlwind ride, something I never expected, and of course, they say that the old cliche is that, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right? So none of this stuff that happened to me in the last 4 years were a part of the plan that I had.
For
But
sure.
apparently they were a part of his plan and what I needed to be and become who I am today and to help the women that I need to help.
So before we start talking about that, so where are you from? So tell us a little bit about you and hubby and daughter and son and all that. Just tell us something about you.
Hubby is the gentle giant. He is very quiet. You won't hear him say much. I believe that he knew he had a racehorse and he just lets this racehorse run. And so I'm a simple girl that grew up in Pratt City, what we call drift track. And I went to parochial school, Holy Family. So I spent a lot of time in Ensley, Pratt City, in those areas. So those were my stomping grounds. And those are the people that helped shape me be who I am as well today. My husband and I have been married for 25 years. It'll be going on 26, June the 3rd. We
Oh,
have two beautiful children, Christian, who is my bonus son, but and I only say that for clarification because people are like, I
they
don't know,
start
you keep saying it
calculating.
twice. But he is mine, all mine, been mine since he was 3. And he just gave me one of the best gifts ever, and that was my daughter in love, um, Alexa. And my daughter just turned 24, January 25th, on my grandmother's birthday. So um, she's an artist, and we're just one big nerdy family, honestly.
Nerdy.
Very much so nerdy.
She is very artsy for sure and beautiful.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
I will say she looks like her dad to me, so sorry.
It's okay. I did all the work, and she does try. Okay, so she comes in the mirror every day, stand behind me, and say, I'm getting a little bit of you here." I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you," but no.
Well, and so my child Sydney is the opposite. So everybody can tell her all day long, you look just like your mom. And she's like, no, I look like my dad. And she pulls out pictures. One time she photoshopped a picture and put some hair on him and some lipstick. she she took a picture, put a wig on him and some
Oh my
lipstick and
God,
said, see, that looks just like me.
poor
So
Chuck.
whatever at this point. So 25 people can tell her she looks like me. 3 people tell her she looks like her dad, and those are the 3 she stands by. So,
Okay, okay.
well, so Haley, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I tell everybody she has my eyelashes. Yeah.
Okay, you did that part. You did that part.
Yeah, and they're like,
Okay,
when those fall out, what happens? I'm like, I mean, she's gonna continue to look like her dad.
just like her dad, but you look just like your mom,
I do.
and your mother's beautiful, and you have
Thank
her
you.
whole face.
Whole
So,
face. And I'm proud of it. So yeah.
as you should be. And we were talking about this, and I was saying people have always told me from a child that I look just like my mom, like her whole
From the
face. So,
pictures. Yeah, from the pictures, yeah, you definitely look like your mom. Beautiful lady. Yeah.
yes, thank you, thank you. Okay, so what are you doing like career-wise and stuff? So I know we're gonna talk about the life ain't fair moments, but
Mm.
how is life now for you on this winning side of things?
It's challenging. I've spent the majority of my life grieving my mother while she was alive.
Wow.
Trying
Wait.
to, yeah, and spending my entire life trying to figure out how to fix her. how to help her. And so that biggest heartache happened when we lost her, I was lost because my whole life had been catered around her. I was in a hurry to get through school. I was in a hurry to get married. I was in a hurry to have a baby. I wanted her to see those things in life. And I asked God to allow her to be here to see those things.
Mhm.
And once we lost her, we were all lost because we all had spent our entire lives caregiving for her.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with that, so your mother, not well, like you said, caregiving. However, do you see that as the most, or that time when you said this is so not fair?
Mhm.
What was it that was going on in your life that made you say life just ain't fair?
Well, really, it was my mom, and again, my whole life revolved around my mom, and it was I just couldn't understand if God had the power to heal her, why wouldn't He heal her?
Mm.
Why would He allow her to go through the things that she went through? Why would He allow her to suffer for 48 years? Because she got sick the day that I was born, and so often I would blame myself for her being sick. Maybe had I not been born, maybe she wouldn't have gone through the things that she had gone through. Maybe if I hadn't been born, she would have, you know, not fought so hard and suffered so much on this side of heaven. And then my sister had to remind me that had you not been born, they may not have found what was going on with her. But I still blamed myself for many years.
So that's definitely something we can relate to. Even though I shared that in my episode,
Mhm.
that I felt the same way. Had I not been born, my mother would not have been going through what she was going through.
Yes.
And that's a lot for a child to carry,
Mhm.
because go back and ask our mothers, of
Mhm.
course, they would say they're so thankful for us.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that when you are tied to it, rather.
Right. So we felt like our family had been in the desert for 40 years, and at this point, 50. And so in October 2022, when the doctor said that, they were going to put her on hospice, which she had been on before, and not just palliative care, it was hospice. But we, again, I guess were in denial or just didn't really realize what he was telling us. You know, because she had been on hospice before and come off, and people do that.
Mhm. Well, I
Um,
found that out. Yes. Uh-huh.
and so it was like we were in this nightmare. And in October 2022, when the nurses came and we were still talking and speaking as if, she was going to be fine, it wasn't until the nurse pulled us to the side and said, "Your mother is dying," that it hit us. And I remember texting and calling you guys and telling you I wasn't ready. I'm not
Yep.
going to make it through this.
Mhm. Yep.
Like, like, God, are you really serious? Right? Is
And
this
what would I
how
say
this
to
would
you?
end? Hmm?
What did I say? What would I say to you when
I'm
you
gonna,
would say,
I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna make it through, and I'm gonna be fine. And if you
yeah,
remember when I saw your face walking out of that
oh,
church, I looked at you and I told you I made it.
you made it. Yeah, because you were saying, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. I don't know how. And you would say, my baby. If my baby leaves me, I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm not gonna be able to make it. And I would say to you, friend, I promise you, you gonna feel like this, but I promise you, you can make it. And like it was I was doing for you what others had done for me. And in being an encouragement from, that's why it's so important. The people that you have in your life and the words that they can speak over you. Because what if I had been saying to you, girl, you ain't gonna make Kristi, you gonna feel like you gonna want to die right with your mom,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so important that you have people speaking life to you when you can't speak life to yourself or when you can't even pray. I know I had those moments. I just couldn't even pray. All I
Yeah.
could say was just Jesus.
Yeah. There are mornings still sometimes, and because you're gonna wax and wane in that. And there are mornings still when I wake up and I'm just like, God, give me the strength. I'm doing my best to show up, honor you. Please help me.
And then what?
And then sister has a brain tumor, and sister has to have brain surgery and 30 rounds of radiation. So she was going to radiation every day, Monday through Friday, alone, which almost killed me there because that's also my baby because I'm the oldest.
God, I'm gonna
Just gonna
remind
put
her
that
of
back
that.
out there. I'm the oldest. Yes.
She is.
I'm very protective of her. But yeah, that almost killed me there. But I was there. I spent 3 to 4 days out of the week at my parents' house, helping my dad because he was afraid to be there alone with my mom if something happened to her, as far as medication, things like that. But he ended up being also stronger than he thought as well. But my sister having to go to radiation every day, 5 days a week for
Mhm.
for it was only 15 to 20 minutes, but I just felt like she shouldn't have to have done that alone.
Yeah.
And again, I'm asking God, like, really? So this is what we're doing. You gonna give us all of this at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you
And
mentioned,
then
yeah, so you mentioned and I mentioned rather in your bio that you are a provider.
Mhm.
What the heck is that?
There are previvors and survivors. Those are terms that are familiar within the breast cancer community, but I kind of made up my own as a provider. And I don't know if you can see my shirt, but I actually have on a provider shirt. And for me, I had to be proactive about my health. And so during that time, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm getting my mammogram. I'm having, my annual physical exams, trying to stay healthy to be the caregiver I need to be and the support that I need to be for my sister and my dad. And I go to get my mammogram. The doctor looks at um, the results and she's like, I don't like the way the tissue looks on the mammogram.
Mhm.
So I go get my mammogram, and the doctor states that she doesn't really like the changes on how they look and asks me have I ever had a breast MRI? And I'm like, no. Well, we have a family history of breast cancer. So I have a first cousin on my mother's side that had breast cancer at 33. I had a first cousin on my dad's side that had breast cancer, and also my dad's sister had breast cancer. So I am a strong proponent of being an advocate for yourself in healthcare because that is, again, my background, my training as a research scientist. And we can do and the key term here that I think people miss sometimes when they're going to modern medicine practitioners is that they're practicing medicine.
Mhm.
They don't know everything. Now, I don't want to discount what they do know, but they're practicing and they're going by what the majority of the world does and how and trends and data, right? But there are always outliers. And so I was not going to wait until I was 40 years old to have my first baseline mammogram. I actually had it when I was 30 and I
Okay.
paid for it myself, because if they didn't cover it, I was going to pay for it myself. And so we've always had that baseline there. And there was an area that they had been watching since I was 30.
Mm.
And so here comes, 48. And she's just like, I don't like the way it looks anymore. Let's get a breast MRI. Know that there are a lot of false positives that, if they call you back, don't worry. They do that a lot. So I'm doing this quietly and secretly at the same time while my sister's going through radiation treatment for a brain tumor and my mother's dying. And I get a call that says, we found an 8 millimeter mass in your left breast, and we found a 12 millimeter mass in your upper thoracic spine area. So we had to make a decision on which mass we were going to address first. And of course, we addressed the breast mass. All this time, I'm still hiding it, and I know it seems strange. My daughter picked up on it a little bit because she was like, well, why do you keep going to get mammograms? She would notice sometimes there would be, tape, something here where they had done the biopsy checking, but she didn't put it all together. And so essentially we were keeping it a secret until we were finding out, if there was anything worth saying anything about, my husband and I. So on June the 2nd, at 2 a.m. when my mother passed, we were there at the home, waiting for them to take her body away and deal with that particular situation. When I went home, I took something to help me sleep a little bit, and I missed the call. When I woke up and called the doctor back, that's when they were letting me know that essentially I had an early form of breast cancer. Now, it's what the official diagnosis was: atypical ductal hyperplasia. But the size of the mass, and me being a scientist and doing my own research, I knew that I was in a very dangerous gray area. And so when the thing about atypical ductal hyperplasia and ductal carcinoma in situ is that it's a pathology call. So the pathologist makes that call, and they generally lean toward, of course, not being so aggressive about what the diagnosis is. And so when I talked to the physicians, the oncologist, the plastic surgeon, we all agreed that where he may have erred on the side of, being a little more reserved, we were going to be a little bit more aggressive because of my family history and the size of the mass. So the differentiator between the ADH and the DCIS is 2 millimeters. Mine was 8. And so that's when I decided to get the mastectomies and move forward with other treatments related to breast cancer.
And so Proviver means what to you?
Proviver to me is I'm standing in an intersection for women that they're in that gray area, which I found from my research, there are a lot of us. And so there are a lot of us that they don't say that we actually have cancer, but they treat us as if we do. And here's the problem with that for me. I can't protect my daughter. Because if I did not get, even though there is the cancer diagnosis is indicated in my records, not having that official diagnosis, that leaves my daughter out to dry, hanging out to dry. Because if she wants to get other testing or be proactive about her health, that may limit her ability to get testing, or it may cause her to not be able to have the access to the care that she needs, so that she does not have to go through the things that I've gone through. And so in that's where the second opinion is coming in, and I'm working with other physicians to make sure that my documentation does indicate that was a very early form, a very low grade form of ductal carcinoma in situ, regardless of whether, the pathologist at the time was being more reserved in his observations.
So, Kristi, in all this stuff going on at the same time, what were you feeling like? Like, what was your honest feeling?
My honest feeling, and I tell people a lot of times that they're not ready for my gangster gospel, because people are like, I know you don't talk to God like that. Yes, I do, because he's my daddy. And I'm like, okay, like, are you really doing this? I'm just like, I'm just sitting up there just praying and thinking and looking, and I'm just like, you're taking my mom. You took my mom. My sister has a whole brain tumor. And then they're gonna call me the day my mom died to tell me that I have an early form of breast cancer. And then I'm keeping this a secret the entire time we're burying my mom just to make sure. So we started with the lumpectomy. So and if you want to rewind a little bit more, in April, 2 weeks before my birthday, I had to have an emergency gallbladder surgery.
Yeah, I
So,
remember that.
emergency gallbladder surgery, mom passed June. They're calling me the same day telling me about the masses, lumpectomy in August. Come on around, and we had the mastectomies in February of 2024, I'm sorry. So I'm just trying to figure out, I'm asking God, well, listen, so you want me to show up. I want to bend to your will. I want to show up, but you keep knocking me back down. Like what am I doing wrong, or you're allowing this? What is the lesson? Because my thing is, yes, I'm a Taurus. I was hard headed, but I don't play with God, and I'm just like, tell me what I'm supposed to learn from this so I can move on and live out my purpose, walk in my purpose. And I'm pretty sure I've shared this with you before, and I've told you that one of my biggest fears is dying before walking in my purpose. And so it's serious to me. And I'm just trying to figure out, how am I supposed to keep showing up? And it just seems like, there are some of us that have our unfair share of issues
Yeah,
of,
I mean,
of being in the desert.
a lot of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing a study of the Bible in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're on the letters of Paul. I was like, yeah, I mean, if anybody should have quit God, this man was stoned so many. Now, back it up. He did crucify the church.
Mm-hmm.
He was killing Christians. But all he was doing was just spreading the message. And all he was doing, and there was attack on attack on attack on attack on attack. And I think somewhere in our religious mindset, we have a mindset that because we are Christian, because, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing for God, that we are immune from the attacks. And we don't have that promise anywhere that we will be immune from the attacks. We do have the promise that he's with us. I shared this in one of the episodes. We were talking, Jesus told Peter, he said, hey, Satan has a desire to sift you as wheat. He said, but I prayed for you, not that you don't go through the sifting, but that your faith fail not. Because the sifting can cause you to question the wrong one. It will have you question
Absolutely.
your faith
Absolutely.
instead of standing up against the enemy, who is the one that God tells us to put on the whole armor so that we can stand against him. But yeah, if you have to be careful, because it will question your faith. Like, God, where are you?
Absolutely. And I'll be honest, my faith was rocked.
I
I didn't know where to go. I couldn't pray. I didn't know what to say. I was numb.
yeah,
I was confused. I was speechless,
yeah,
and then again, you have to remember, and I was reminded that even though they walked in the wilderness for 40 years, they were protected.
Mhm.
They were
Yeah.
fed.
Yeah.
Their clothes, their shoes didn't wear out.
They
So
didn't even
we
wear
never
out.
lacked. Yeah, we've never lacked. It just wasn't how I wanted it to be.
Of
It didn't
course
turn out
not.
it didn't turn out how I thought it would be. And what
Yeah.
made me even more angry was that I'm like, okay, she suffered her whole life. You gonna make her suffer to get out of her body too?
Mm.
Like, is this what we're doing?
Mhm.
And then I think back to some of the days sometimes, and like when simple things like, you know, I don't know, and it may seem weird, but like my head is itching, and I'm like, what if I didn't do this for her? What if her head was itching or something and I didn't know? Or
Mm.
what if and I imagine myself sometimes trying to lie there for months, not being able to move, not being able to
Mm.
talk, not being able to feed myself, thinking that she was losing her mind because
Mhm.
she would, sundown, but not in a way where she would walk. She would talk. The thing that broke my heart was that night when she said, Lord, she said, hello. And I said, hey, baby. And she said, is anybody there? I said, I'm right here with you. And then she said, oh, Lord, I'm losing my mind.
Mm.
And I spent a lot of time with her. There were funny moments because we're all silly, you know that. And
Yes.
so I would climb over in that hospice bed with her, and I would put my head on her chest, and I would listen to her heartbeat because I knew one day I wouldn't hear it.
Mhm.
And one time she just yelled out, she was like, I just want you to know, I don't ever want you in the bed with me again.
Oh, you went out. You said, I don't ever what?
She said, I don't ever want you in the bed with me again.
She was like, you
I said,
look,
well,
what
I'm
put
staying
my
right here,
husband. She was like,
ma'am.
"What my man? Put my man in the bed with me,
Oh,
not
yes.
you."
Yeah, she wanted my dad. And my dad was, she could sense when he was in the room. And she would calm down every time he was there. He would put his hand on her and just, tap her. And then as soon as he tried to tip off, she started talking and wake up again. He had to come back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get out of that funk where you were with God at that time that you were saying, "This ain't it, God"?
My support system. It took my support system, people like you, my sister, my best friend, my husband, my children, to lift me up when I didn't think I could. When she passed, I was not there, but I had a camera in the room where I could talk to her whenever I wanted to because they got tired of me calling, asking to speak to her. So I would just, when they would see the blue dot on the camera, my dad would be like, there's Kristi.
Mm.
And I would just talk to her when I wanted to. And we knew she was going to pass that night. And I told, I had peeked in the camera and the lights were still on in the living room. And they were both sitting there. And I was like, hey, let's just give her a moment. I said, because the hospice nurse said that people often, you have a little bit of control over how you pass.
Oh, yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're private, you don't want everybody watching you. If
Mhm.
you're, loud, you may go out loud. If you're quiet, you may go out quiet. And so I said, y'all, the lights are on. Y'all sitting up there watching her. I said, let's all just kind of take a nap and, come back later. And so my sister turned the lights off, and my dad went back in the back and lay down for a few minutes. And sometime in that hour's time of me checking back in, she slipped away. And when I looked in the camera, I saw my sister, looking, taking her temperature, putting her head to her chest. And I, said something over the speaker, and I was like, can you hear her heartbeat? And she was like, I don't think so. And I said, well, it's time to call the hospice nurse. I said, don't call the fire department because they will bring her back to life sometimes. And I said, so don't call the fire department, call the hospice nurse, and I'm on my way. And so literally I went outside. I was about to lose it. I called my best friend and she was like, "What did you ask for?" I said, "I asked for her to be at peace."
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Okay, well, don't cry." She said, "Get yourself together." So I got myself together. We got there. I went over straight to her and I whispered in her ear. And I told her to fly high, girl.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the moments when I heard your voice. And you told me it was going to be okay. The moment that I went with my sister to the doctor to ring the bell,
Mm-hmm.
it was just little moments within everything that was going on that God gave me to let me know it was going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you have to sit back and reflect on the goodness, because sometimes the challenges will make you forget about the goodness. The goodness. You gotta take even if it's something small. you know um Talisha, in her episode, she was talking about, you know even if you can't lift your whole body up off the bed, just lift up your hands.
Yes, yes, Lord.
you know I even remember when my mom passed, I was even grateful, Kristi, that I had those 9 months with her. And I started thinking, I would hate to be on the phone and somebody, like, you just got off the phone with your mama and, okay, baby, I'll talk to you later. And then the next time you get a call and that call is your mama is gone. People in car accidents. And, so I was like, Lord, I thank you that I was able to prepare myself. I was able to, okay, all right, just imagine those people who don't get those opportunities. And it was stuff like that, that I had to hold on to. But I think that's what we all need to do, because life could just seem like a whirlwind of unfair.
I'll tell you, I kind of went back and forth with that, because I was like, oh my gosh, what did I ask for? Because I went from, which is why I love Christmas so much, because that was her favorite holiday. And I would ask God every year, can I just have one more Christmas with her? And I changed that as I got older and I asked him to allow me to be there for her when she passed, allow me
Mm.
to serve her, allow us that time together. And he gave us that. And then in the midst of it, I'm like, what did I ask for?
Yeah, I changed my mind.
I changed my mind. I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it was good, if it was better that I watched her slowly die, or if she had just been snatched from me. I question that.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, yeah. But that's why I think, you could get caught up in all of that.
Mhm. Yeah,
And something that you said too, that you mentioned, and you were saying, okay, she's been like this. We've been praying, and we've been praying for 40 years. We've been praying, and why aren't you hearing our prayers? And I remember my pastor said something so profound to us one time. He was saying, when you're praying for someone, God is never going to supersede their will and their faith. That is according to their faith, be it unto you, so I can stand in agreement with you. But if he supersedes my prayer over your request, that's witchcraft. And we don't operate in witchcraft. So sometimes we are praying for someone, especially those that are sick and transitioning and you don't know what their silent prayers are to
absolutely.
God. You don't know how many times they may be saying, I'm tired. I remember my aunt. Girl, my aunt was so funny. When my aunt Benita, one of my favorite aunts, and I may have told y'all about this when my aunt she had been diagnosed with cancer. She was on end stages. And my aunt would wake up, y'all. She told me she would wake up and pop her eyes open and be like, dang it, I'm still here. She will open up one
I
eye.
love it. I love it.
God
I
darn
love
it.
it. Yeah,
I'm
I
still
love it.
here.
Yeah.
So I remember going to her and I was asking her, Auntie, what do you want? She said, Baby, I'm tired and I'm ready to go. There was no need for me now to be praying to God for
Yeah.
her healing.
Yes, that part. That part.
He
And
was
my
not
mom
going
was a fighter.
to,
Yeah.
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 But she may have just been like, you know what, my kid's gonna be okay, my husband gonna be okay. Because to live is not the gain, right? To die is the gain.
Mhm.
And to live is Christ, but to die is the gain. So it's like you have to be like, okay, Lord, because he's still, no matter what, his name is Jehovah Rapha, the
Yeah.
God that heals. And it doesn't change
Yes.
based on our circumstance. He is the healer,
Yes.
regardless of whether we see it here on this side. It
Yes.
doesn't change. He's the
Yes.
God of miracles, signs, and wonders. And there's absolutely nothing that's too hard for him. So just because it's not manifesting in my life or your doesn't change who he is.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, that's spot on because I had to realize that my mother was a fighter and she was not necessarily ready to go because her life was Haley, my daughter, and she was like, "Oh Lord, I got a little baby." And she
See?
said, "That was my baby." And
Oh,
so she fought. And even the day that I went to get the biopsy and I was the dye or whatever they gave me made me extremely sick. And my husband was like, "Are you sure you want to go
contrast
to your
dye.
mom's house?" Hmm?
Is it the contrast
Yes,
dye?
the contrast made me
No.
extremely sick and nauseated. And so my husband was like, "Are you sure you want to go to your mom's house?" And I was like, "Yes, I need to," because I felt it. It was on Wednesday or Thursday. Got there and I I looked at her hands and I saw that her hands had started to die and I knew and I could I heard the death rattle and I knew what it was. And I kind of put my face next to hers and I was like, "You gonna give me some sugar?" And so she didn't, she couldn't talk or anything, but she mustered up, I know, everything in her to kiss me one last time.
Mm.
Everything. And even the times before she stopped talking, I would put my earphones in her ear and we would sing gospel songs together. And so her song was nobody greater. So my mother praised God until the moment she took her last breath. So who am I to not do the same?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who am I to
You were just
question her faith? Her faith is what gave me the will to I can't, it's like I gotta live up to her legacy.
mm.
It's like she didn't give up. And I tell everybody else not to give up. What do I look like giving up? And that's
How
what
did
pulled me out of it.
how did this help you or catapult you into your purpose? You said you don't want to leave here until you walk in your purpose. How did this help you?
It helped me realize that I knew I was an intercessor, but it helped me realize that I'm like a midwife. Just, and where I thought that it was, you know, graphics, design, my creative side, God told me no. He said, it's the ministry. He said, when you help other women heal, you will heal. That is the
Mm.
means to what you want. I've given you everything you need already. Why do you keep asking me what you're supposed to
Mm.
do?
Oh, that's good. So when you gonna be doing what you're supposed to be doing?
I'm starting right now. I am,
Well,
and it's hard for people to accept that you've changed. They think that you're, I don't know. I don't understand people that don't give you grace to change to be something different. People like to pigeonhole you and keep you in positions and situations that's convenient for them because it's helped them. And
yeah, because I need to do my website stuff, child.
well, you
She
get
quit me, y'all.
you get a little special treatment, but
Not much.
well, I have to be obedient, right? I have to be obedient.
right.
Be obedient.
I'm with you. I want you to
Yeah.
do exactly what God is telling you to do.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with me in this podcast. I was supposed to
Mhm.
have been doing this many, many years ago. You and I
Oh,
know we've talked about it, right?
yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're gonna do
I'm gonna
what
do
it
it.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
So
doing the ministry. I am, reaching out to women. I'm starting really, for me, the moment that I'm praying and I believe that God has told me will catapult me to that moment is my TEDx talk on March the
okay.
7th.
I know
It's
that's right.
it's where I get to get on the stage to show God's grace and mercy and give other women the message about disruption and how it's not here to destroy us. It's here to, when disruption enters our lives, it's here to steer us in another direction because we may have gone off course or we're just not exactly where we're supposed to be. That we need to use that information that we're gaining from the disruption to really rebuild our lives how they were supposed to be and not how the world or our culture or anything else has positioned us or conditioned us to be that we're not supposed to be.
That's good. Let me ask you something. If you had to talk to someone and they're in an unfair moment in their life right now, and you had to give them a word, what would you say to them?
I would tell them to remain steadfast, look to God. And actually, it's a it's a term that happened a lot when I was getting my master's degree that was almost the bane of my existence. Trust the process.
Yeah,
Trust the process of what God is taking you through to know that there is a reason. Look for the answers in what you're going through. Look for the good in what's going on because there's always some good in everything that's going on, regardless of what it looks like. No, stop trying to see it with your manly eyes. Look at it with
mhm,
your spiritual eyes to see what is this disruption telling you? What is God trying to reveal to you to get you to see or understand so that you're on the path that you should be? And if you find out that that is the correct path, just trust the process. Just trust it.
yeah, stay on in there.
Yeah.
Stay on in there. Okay, so 3 words: unstoppable, unbreakable, or undeniable. Which one of those 3 words resonates with you the most?
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable, unstoppable.
Yeah,
Okay, and
unstoppable.
why? Why?
Because we're all being gracefully broken, and I tell people that all the time. Just because I'm in my period of being gracefully broken does not mean that I have personally gone off course. I am redirecting, redesigning, and intentionally moving forward as I should. So I'm not worried about being broken because I'm getting broken gracefully. What was
Mm,
the third option?
undeniable, so
Undeniable.
unstoppable, unbreakable, or undeniable.
Yeah.
But you said your word is unstoppable?
And it's unstoppable because that's because once you're walking in your purpose and doing what God has called you to do, you can't be stopped. It doesn't matter what anybody else tries to do. It doesn't matter, if the enemy tries to set traps, you know, any of that. It doesn't if people try to speak against you, they can't speak against the word of God and his desire and purpose for your life. They can do whatever they want to, but they can't stop you when
Yeah,
you
they
do
can
that.
try.
Hmm.
Yeah, the weapon can form,
But not prosper. Hmm.
they ain't gonna prosper.
Yeah.
So just keep on moving forward. Keep moving forward. So if you had to summarize some tools that you used,
Hmm.
I heard you mention a couple of things. Give them just some tools. And you talked about your circle of people. How would you sum up how you got to the other side?
I would sum up how I got to the other side, just as you said, having an inner circle around you that you trust, that can lift you up, that can stand in the gap for you. Another good thing that I did was journaling. Getting that that anger, those questions, the concerns, the confusion, whatever was going on in my head, getting it out of there so that I could actually hear from God. And third, I think that I would recommend just even when you can't pray, just like I think you said Talisa said, even when you can't pray or can't move your whole body or can't don't feel like or don't feel like you're even in a situation to do those things, just give honor and glory to God however you can, because he hears us and he's protecting us. And know that when you're in the wilderness, you're actually being protected sometimes.
Yeah, because those wilderness moments have been tough.
Mm-hmm.
Before you guys didn't see us before we started the taping, but just when you start thinking about the goodness, because I promise you, it could have been another way.
Yes.
Even in your worst, it could have been another way. It could have been worse. It could have been another way. So thankful that God kept us and he kept you through it all. And I'm right here. Every time you start talking, baby, bye.
Mm-hmm.
We got this.
Yeah.
The devil is alive.
Yep. The prayer text comes real quick. Like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. We are not doing this today. And you're right.
We
We're
got
not. Yeah.
we got to do it. That's right. So,
Mhm.
Kristi, how can people get in touch with you and follow you?
You can follow me on, you can go to my website at thechristian.com. And all of my social media handles are the Christian. So
So spell that.
it's
It,
KristiOnne.
so repeat them all again.
You can go to my website, thechristian.com. And I am on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, really everywhere. Snapchat, all of the handles are the same. It's the Christian, Kristionne.
Okay, well, Kristi, I thank you so much for coming on. I thank you for sharing your story. I thank you for sharing a time when life wasn't fair, but you're on the other side and you're winning anyway.
Yes.
And so, all of you, I just ask that if this message or message, basically, if this story was a blessing to you, that you share it with someone that may be going through exactly what Christine went through, or you may be feeling what she felt. She mentioned something, journaling. See, I told you, go pull the workbook off of my website. It's a workbook and a journal. Because sometimes it takes you having to write these things out, process. And I love the fact that she said she was honest with God. Hey, he's not afraid of you. Go on and tell him, God, this is ghetto. You can just say, God, this is not it. He's not gonna run away from you. He's not. He can take it. Journal it, write it down, get it out of your head. And then there's also a section for you to write your prayer out and write out what you are envisioning your life to look like and what you are believing him for. And I promise you, he'll be right there with you. I thank you so much. Don't forget to follow me on all social media, TJ Everhart. You can go to the website, tjeverhart.com, and I will tell you this lovely person, Kristi Dionne Oliver, is the one that created my website, y'all. Now she's not doing it anymore, so I know it's all pretty. Don't ask her to do it, but that's why my website looks so great. So tjeverhart.com. Follow me. Hey, like, subscribe, share if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the notification bell. If you're listening, go to YouTube. You go to my YouTube channel at tjeverhart.com. Hey, remember, life ain't fair, but you can win anyway. So thank you, Kristi. And thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of your day, night, or evening. Bye-bye.
Undeniable, we're unstoppable. Oh, you know we are. Life ain't fair, but we win. Amen.